In this question, it is given that a block of mass m is sitting on a rotating frictionless wedge. So this is frictionless and it is rotating. The wedge rotates with a constant angular velocity omega about the axis as shown in the figure. Calculate the value of omega such that the block stays at this constant height h. Express the answers in terms of g, h and theta. So let us draw the FBD of this block. So what are the forces acting on this block? One is gravity and the second is normal. Now because this block is performing circular motion along with the wedge, so you will say that the angular velocity of the block is also omega. Also this will be the radius of the circular motion of the block. Now because it is rotating in the horizontal plane, the vertical forces must balance. That means if this angle is theta, this is also theta, this is 90 minus theta, this is also theta. So you will say that n cos theta has to be balanced by mg, and the horizontal force, that is n sin theta, is providing the centripetal force. So n sin theta has to be equal to omega square r. So from this, if you divide these two equations, you will get sin theta by cos theta, that is tan theta is equal to omega square r by g. But in this question, they have not given you r, but they have given you h. So you know that tan theta will be equal to h by r. So you can write r is equal to h cot theta. So if you write r is equal to h cot theta, you will get omega square h cot theta by g. So from this you will get the value of omega square is equal to g tan square theta divided by h. So which implies omega will be equal to under root g by h tan theta. Now let us look at the next question. In this question it is given that a block of mass 25 kg rests on a horizontal floor where the coefficient of friction is 0.2. It is attached by a 5-meter long horizontal rope attached to a peg fixed on the floor. The block is pushed along the ground with an initial velocity of 10 meter per second so that it moves in a circle. Okay, then we need to find the tangential acceleration of the block. We need to find the speed of the block at time t, and we need to find the time when the tension in the rope becomes 0. Okay, so here friction force is changing the speed of the block, that is it is providing the tangential force, that is it is providing the tangential force. So friction is equal to mu n, where n is equal to mg, n is balanced by mg, so you will say friction is equal to mu mg is equal to mat. M cancel. From this you will get the tangential acceleration is equal to mu g, and that is equal to 0.2 multiplied by 10, that is equal to 2 meter per second square. So this is the tangential acceleration of the block. Now this tangential acceleration will change the speed of the block. So you will get, using v is equal to u plus at, the initial speed of the block is 10 meter per second. So you will say v is equal to 10 minus 2t, because this block is retarding due to this friction force. Tension is providing the centripetal force. Tension is providing the centripetal force, and it will become 0 when the velocity of the particle becomes 0. That means 10 minus 2t is equal to 0. That means t is equal to 5 seconds. So at t equal to 5 seconds, you will say that the tension in the string becomes 0. Now let us discuss banking of roads. So to negotiate a turn, the roads are banked. What do you mean by banking of roads? Banking of road means roads are turned at some angle theta. This theta is called the banking angle. The roads are turned so that normal is able to provide the friction force. So suppose this is a car and this car wants to make a circular turn, and this is a banked road. So this is the road and this is a banked road. That means this is at a certain angle theta, and this theta is called the banking angle. When you bank a road, the normal force is able to provide the centripetal force. So if you draw the FBD of this car, there will be a normal force and there will be force of gravity. Let us assume that there is no friction on the road. There is no friction on the road. So banking is done to reduce the dependence of friction for making a turn, for making a turn. So banking is done to reduce the dependence of friction for making a turn. So in this case, normal is able to provide the centripetal force for making the turn. So if you draw the FBD, you will see that because it is making a horizontal turn, so the vertical forces must balance. Now if this angle is theta, this angle is also theta. So you will say n cos theta has to be balanced by mg, and n sin theta provides the centripetal force mv square by r, where r is the radius of the turn of the banked road. Okay, so if you divide this two, again you will get tan theta is equal to v square by rg, or you will say v is equal to root over rg tan theta. So this is the speed that the car must maintain. This is the speed. This is the speed that the car must maintain to continue in circular motion. If the speed is greater than root over rg tan theta, the car skids upwards, and if v is less than root rg tan theta, then you will say that the car slips downwards. But you know that the road also has friction, right? We have done this case assuming that there was no friction, but you know that the road will also have friction. So when there is friction on the road, then friction and normal together will provide the centripetal force for the circular motion of the car. In this case, the value of velocity for which the car can make a turn is a range and not a single value. So we need to find the maximum and minimum value of velocity that the car can take so that it can perform the circular motion. So let us first find the maximum value of velocity that the car can take. We have force of gravity and we have normal force and we also have friction force. Now because we need to find the maximum velocity, therefore V has to be greater than root over Rg tan theta, where theta is the banking angle. Now if V is greater than root over Rg tan theta, the car has the tendency to move upwards. So that means the friction force will be acting downwards. So this is the direction of the friction force. So now let us resolve the forces into components vertical and horizontal. So if you draw the FBD of this car, you will get a downward vertical force. Now if this angle is theta, this angle is also theta and this angle is also theta. Okay, so you will get the component of normal along the vertical is n cos theta and along the horizontal is n sin theta. Similarly, the component of friction along the vertical will be F sin theta and the component of friction along the horizontal will be F cos theta. Because we need to find the maximum value of velocity, we will take the friction to be limiting. So what is the value of the limiting friction? The value of the limiting friction is mu n. Now because the car is making a turn in the horizontal direction, the vertical forces must balance. So you will say that n cos theta has to be balanced by mg plus f sin theta, but f is mu n. So you will write mu n sin theta. So from this you will get n is equal to mg upon cos theta minus mu sin theta. So this is the value of n. So if this is n, what will be the value of f? So f will be mu n, that will be equal to mu mg upon cos theta minus mu sin theta. Okay, now you can see that n sin theta and f cos theta are together providing the centripetal force for the circular motion of the car. So n sin theta plus f cos theta has to be equal to mv square by r, where r is the radius of the circular turn or the radius of the curved road. So from this you will get, take n common, sin theta plus mu cos theta is equal to mv square by r. From this you can write n as mg upon cos theta minus mu sin theta. So you will write mg upon cos theta minus mu sin theta multiplied by sin theta plus mu cos theta is equal to mv square by r. So m getting cancelled out, you will get the value of velocity as under root gr sin theta plus mu cos theta divided by cos theta minus mu sin theta. So this is the maximum velocity that the car can take for making the turn. So you can say this is V max. Also this can be written in the form of tan theta. Suppose you divide the numerator by cos theta. You also divide the denominator by cos theta. What will you get? Sin theta by cos theta is tan theta. So you will get root over gr tan theta plus cos theta divided by cos theta is 1 divided by cos theta by cos theta is 1 minus mu sin theta by cos theta is tan theta. So this is the maximum velocity that the car can take to make the turn. If v is greater than the maximum velocity, in that case now you will say that the car skids upwards. Now let us find the minimum velocity that the car can take. Now to find the minimum velocity, you will take the direction of friction to be upwards. Why? Because to find the minimum velocity, that means v is less than root gr tan theta. This means the car has the tendency to move downwards. So if the car has the tendency to move downwards, the friction force will act upwards. So when you want to find the minimum velocity, in that case the friction will act upwards. So gravity in the downward direction, normal perpendicular to the incline. So again, if you resolve the forces along the vertical and horizontal, you will get upward is n cos theta, upward is f sin theta, downward is mg, along the horizontal is n sin theta, along the horizontal is f cos theta. So from this you will say, if you balance the forces along the vertical, because the circular motion is in the horizontal plane, so the vertical forces has to balance. So you will say mu n sin theta plus n cos theta is equal to mg. Again we will apply the limiting value of friction, because we want to find the limiting value of velocity. Okay, so from this you will get n is equal to mg upon cos theta plus mu sin theta. So once you've got normal, you can get the value of friction as mu n, that is equal to mu mg upon cos theta plus mu sin theta. So now once you have got the value of friction, again you will see that this car can make the circular turn along the horizontal only if there is a centripetal force towards the center. This time n sin theta is towards the center and f cos theta is away from the center. So the net force towards the center will be n sin theta minus f cos theta, and this will be equal to mv min square by r. So this will be the minimum velocity. Net centripetal force is always equal to mv square by r. From this you will get, take n common, you will get mg upon cos theta plus mu sin theta multiplied by sin theta minus mu cos theta is equal to mv min square by r. M cancelled. From this you will get v min is equal to root over gr sin theta minus mu cos theta divided by cos theta plus mu sin theta. So this is the minimum speed that the car can take to make the turn. That means if v is less than the minimum velocity, if your speed of your car is less than the minimum velocity, in that case the car will slip downwards along the banking incline. Now let us come to a conclusion here. If v is greater than vmax, car skids upwards and friction becomes kinetic. If v is less than v min, car slips downwards and friction becomes kinetic. If v belongs to v min to v max, the car is able to take the turn. Now in this also we will have three cases. If V belongs to V min to root gr tan theta, in that case you will say friction will be upwards because the car has the tendency to move downwards. Gravity is dominating. So friction is upwards along the incline. If V is equal to root gr tan theta, in that case you will say the value of friction is 0 because no friction is required in that case to make the turn. Only normal is able to provide the centripetal force. If V belongs to root gr tan theta to V max, in that case you will say the car has the tendency to move upwards, so the friction will be downwards. Okay, so we can say that banking of road increases the speed which we can take to make a turn and increase road safety. When the road is completely horizontal, we are only dependent on friction. When the road is banked, then friction along with normal can provide the centripetal force, so you can get more centripetal force. Now the bending of a cyclist or a motorist. So you have seen that whenever the motorcyclist is trying to take a turn at very high speeds, it bends itself. When it bends itself, what it does is it increases the centripetal force. So let us take one simple case when there is no friction on the road. When there is no friction on the road, in that case, the normal force, so suppose this is the cyclist and this is the normal force, and the normal force again will have two components. The vertical component is n cos theta and the horizontal component is n sin theta. The n cos theta component is balanced by the gravity and the n sin theta component is providing the centripetal force. So V is equal to root gr tan theta, same speed. Okay, so you can say that if there is no friction and the cyclist wants to take the turn, he can do it by bending at a particular angle. So the angle and speeds are definitely related. So for a given speed, the angle is fixed. Okay, but because there is friction on the road, so the normal plus friction together will provide the centripetal force, and this will be the same case as banking of roads. In the similar way, they can also ask you, how does a aircraft makes a turn? Again, to make a turn, the aircraft turns itself at a particular angle theta such that V is equal to root gr tan theta. Let us do some problems. A car goes on a horizontal circular road of radius r. The speed is increasing at the rate dv by dt is equal to a. The friction coefficient between the tires and the road is mu. Then find the speed at which the car will skid. So in this case, you will say that the friction is providing both centripetal and tangential force. Okay, so the friction tangential will be equal to m into a tangential, and according to this question, a tangential is equal to a. And friction is also providing the centripetal force, and that will be equal to mv square by r, where v is speed at any instant. Speed at any instant. You also know that the friction has a limit. The limiting value of friction will be equal to mu mg. Okay, so this is the tire, and this tire is experiencing a tangential force and a radial force. So this is Fc, this is Ft, and this is the resultant friction. Now F resultant cannot be greater than mu mg. So let us say that when the resultant friction becomes equal to mu mg, you will say that the tire will start to skid, because friction will not be able to provide the necessary centripetal force. So you will say mu mg is equal to under root ma square plus mv square by r whole square. So from this you will get mu square m square g square is equal to m square a square plus m square v power 4 by r square. M square m square cancelled. From this you can get the value of v. Let us take the next question. A block of mass m is kept on a horizontal ruler. So this is a ruler, and a block of mass m suppose is placed on this horizontal ruler. This ruler is made to rotate with an angular velocity omega. Okay, the friction coefficient between the block and the ruler is mu. The ruler is fixed at one end and the block is at a distance L. So this distance is given as L from the fixed end. The ruler is rotated about this fixed end. We need to find the maximum value of this omega for which the block does not slip. Who is responsible for the circular motion of the block? It is friction. So the friction is providing the centripetal force for the rotation of the block. Now the value of this friction is mu mg. This is the maximum value of friction. Why am I applying the maximum value of friction? Because we need to find the maximum value of omega. You know that friction has a limit, right? So the friction has a limit. Friction cannot be greater than mu n, where n is equal to mg in this case. So mu mg is the maximum value of friction that this block can get. So the maximum omega that this block can have is given by mu mg is equal to m omega max square r. So from this you will get the value of omega max as root over mu g by r. This is the maximum value with which the table can rotate, so that this block rotates along with the table with the same angular velocity. That is, there is no slipping between the block and the table. Now if the angular speed of the ruler is uniformly increased from 0 at an angular acceleration alpha, then at what angular speed will the block slip? So in this case, they are telling you that there is also a tangential acceleration. So in this case, friction will provide both the tangential and centripetal acceleration and centripetal force. So you will say Ft is equal to MAT and Fc, the centripetal force, is equal to m omega square r. So the net friction force will be under root Ft square plus Fc square, and that is equal to under root m square At square plus m square omega 4 r square. Now you know that the friction has a limit. This friction cannot be greater than mu n, that is mu mg in this case. So if the friction cannot be greater than mu mg, you will say that the block will slip when mu mg becomes equal to this. So mu mg is equal to under root mu mg is equal to f net. That is, if you square both sides, you will get mu square m square g square is equal to m square at square plus m square omega 4 r square. So from this, m square will get cancelled out and you are asked maximum angular speed. So you will say that mu square G square minus AT square. Now AT square can be written as R square alpha square, because it is given that because you know that AT is equal to R alpha, and it is given that the angular acceleration of the table is alpha. So this is equal to omega power 4 R square. So from this you will get the value of omega. Remember, in this question the radius is equal to L. So put the value of radius as L and get omega. So this will be the omega max. Let us look at the next question. In this question it is given that two blocks tied with a massless string of length 3 meters are placed on a rotating table as shown. This is the axis of the rotating table. Okay. So it is 1 meter from the 1 kg block and 2 meter from the 2 kg block. The angular speed is given as 4 radian per second. The ground below 2 kg block is smooth, that is mu equal to 0. And below 1 kg block there is a friction. So suppose there is some friction. The question is, find the tension in the string, the force on friction on the 1 kg block and its direction. So because this 2 kg block does not have friction, so there is only tension force which is providing the centripetal force. So you will write tension has to be equal to m into omega square, that is 4 square, multiplied by the radius of 2 kg block is 2 meter. So the tension has to be equal to 4 multiplied by 16, that is 64 Newton. Now let us look at the 1 kg block. Now if you draw the FBD of the 1 kg block, you will see that there is a tension force, and this tension force is equal to 64 Newton, right? And its radius is 1 meter. So if tension is the only centripetal force, in that case you will say that T is equal to m omega square r, that is 1 into 4 square into 1, that is 16. But the tension is not 16, the tension is 64. That means there has to be friction force, right? So friction will act in this direction so as to decrease the net centripetal force, because the net centripetal force required for 1 kg block is only 16 Newton, right? So the net centripetal force required for the 1 kg block is only 16 Newton. So you will write 64 minus F has to be equal to 16, and from that you will get from that you will get F is equal to 48 Newton. So this is the friction required so that this 1 kg block can move along with the table with the same angular velocity. That is, there is no relative motion between the 1 kg block and the table. Now if the coefficient of friction between the 1 kg block and the ground is mu is equal to 0.8, then find the maximum angular velocity so that neither of them slips. So in this case you will say that if you draw the FBD of the 2 kg block, you will see that the tension is providing the centripetal force. So you will write T is equal to 2 into omega square. So we have to find this omega multiplied by R. So R is how much? R is 2 meter. So from this you will get T is equal to 4 omega square, right? Now let us draw the FBD of 1 kg block. So for 1 kg block there is tension, but there is also friction, right? So in this case you will say that T minus F is the net centripetal force, and that will be equal to 1 multiplied by omega square multiplied by 1. Now because the friction coefficient is given as 0.8, so you will say that the limiting friction is 0.8 multiplied by 10, and that is equal to 8 Newton, right? So the limiting value of friction is 8 Newton. If you want to find the maximum value of omega, you will say that the friction acting is 8 Newton. So you will say T minus 8 is equal to omega square, or T is equal to 8 plus omega square. Now let us put the value of T here. From this you will get 8 plus omega square is equal to 4 omega square. From this you will get 3 omega square is equal to 8, or omega is equal to root over 8 by 3 radian per second. Now in the C part of the question, it is given that the maximum tension in the string can be 100 Newton. Then find the maximum angular speed so that neither of them slips. So in this C part of the question, it is given that the maximum tension can be 100 Newton. So 100 is equal to 2 into omega square multiplied by R. R is 2 meter. So from this you will get omega is equal to 5 radian per second. So this is the maximum angular velocity for which they do not slip. So in this question, last part, you have to assume that the friction is sufficient in this case. So here the friction is sufficient so that this is also rotating along with the table. So in this case, you will not have to assume that mu is 0.8. In this part of the question, you will assume that the friction here is sufficient. Now let us take the next question. In this question, it is given that a particle of mass m describes a circle of radius r. The centripetal acceleration of the particle is 4 by r square. Then what will be the momentum of the particle? So the particle describes a circle of radius r and the centripetal acceleration is 4 by r square is equal to v square by r, right? Because centripetal acceleration is always v square by r. So from this 1r gets cancelled. You will say v square is equal to 4 by r. Then they are asking you what is the momentum of the particle. So from this you will get the value of v is 2 by root r. So what will be the momentum of the particle? mv, and that will be equal to 2m by root r. In the next question, it is given that a particle is moving in a circle of radius r in such a way that at any instant the normal and the tangential component of its acceleration are equal. So it is given that at any instant at is equal to ar. So from this you will say r, at is dv by dt is equal to v square by r. So from this you will get dv upon v square is equal to 1 by r dt. Okay. So from this, if you integrate, it is given in the question that its speed at t equal to 0 is v naught. At t equal to any time t, let us assume the speed is v. So this will be equal to minus 1 by v, integrate it from v naught to v is equal to t by r. So from this you will get 1 by v naught minus 1 by v is equal to t by r. So from this you will get 1 by v is equal to 1 by v naught minus t by r. From this you will get v is equal to v naught r upon r minus v naught t. Okay. Now you have got the velocity as a function of time. Again what you will do, you will write v is equal to ds by dt. So this will be equal to v naught r upon r minus v naught t. So from this you will get ds is equal to v naught r, these are constants, dt upon r minus v naught t. So from this, when you integrate at t equal to 0, the initial position is 0. At t equal to t, the displacement becomes 2 pi r. Because it is asked that find the time taken to complete the first revolution. If you want to complete the first revolution, that means you have to travel a distance of 2 pi r. So from this you will get 2 pi r is equal to v naught r into minus 1 by v naught ln r minus v naught t, integrate it from 0 to t. v naught cancelled, you will get 2 pi r is equal to minus r multiplied by ln r minus v naught t divided by r. When you put the limits, r getting cancelled, you will get ln, or you can say you will get r minus v naught t is equal to r e power minus 2 pi. So from this you will get r common 1 minus e ki power minus 2 pi is equal to v naught t. So from this you will get t is equal to r by v naught 1 minus e power minus 2 pi. So this is the time after which the particle will complete one revolution. Now let us look at the next question. In this question, it is given that there is a ball of mass 10 kg. It is attached to a rigid rod and this rod is massless. The length of this rod is given as 1 meter, and the radius of the circular motion of this rod is given as 0.5 meter. The time period of this circular motion is given as 1.58 seconds. We need to find the force exerted by this rod on the ball. So if you draw the FBD of this ball, there is a gravitational force, and this rod will exert a force in the upward direction so as to balance the gravity, and this rod will also exert a force in the horizontal direction so as to provide the centripetal force, because the rod is only providing the centripetal force for the circular motion of the ball. Now because this is a horizontal circular motion, so the vertical forces has to balance each other. So you will say that the vertical component has to be equal to mg, and that is equal to 10 multiplied by 10, that is equal to 100 Newton. Now because the time period is given as 1.58 seconds, you can write this as 2 pi by omega. So the horizontal force is providing the centripetal force for the circular motion of this ball, and you will say that the horizontal force is equal to m omega square r, and the radius is 0.5 and the mass is 10. So when you put the value of omega from this, where omega is 2 pi by 1.58 seconds, you will get the value of Fh. Now the net force they are asking you in this question, and the net force will be equal to Fv square plus Fh square, and this will be equal to 128 Newton. So this is the net force exerted by the rod on the ball. In the next question, it is given that the coefficient of friction between the block and the table is mu. We need to find the tension in the string if the block moves on the horizontal table. So this block is moving in this horizontal table with a speed v and radius r, and there is a string attached to it. Okay, and this string may provide the centripetal force for the circular motion of the block, but because there is also friction, so friction can also provide the centripetal force for the circular motion of the block. Now we will divide this problem into two cases. You know that friction force always acts before tension. Now case 1, if F limiting is less than mv square by r, and case 2 when F limiting is greater than mv square by r. Now you know that friction acts before tension. That means if friction is able to provide the centripetal force, tension will not act, and the necessary centripetal force is mv square by r. V is fixed, r is fixed. The necessary centripetal force is mv square by r. So in case 1, if F limiting is less than mv square by r, that means in this case friction is not able to provide the necessary centripetal force. So this is case 1. In case 1, F limiting, that is mu mg, because normal force is equal to mg, is less than mv square by r. So in this case you will say that friction is not able to provide the necessary centripetal force by itself. But there is also tension. So if you draw the FBD of the block, you will see that there is friction and there is also tension. So you will say T plus F together provides the centripetal force. So the value of T will be equal to mv square by r minus the friction force, that is mu mg. Okay, so this is the tension force when mu mg is less than mv square by r, or the limiting value of friction is greater than, the limiting value of friction is less than mv square by r. In case 2, it is given that the limiting force of friction, that is mu mg, is greater than mv square by r. So in this case you will say friction itself is able to provide the centripetal force. So you will say that friction will only act and there will be no tension. So you will say friction is equal to mv square by r and the tension force will be 0. Now in this next question, it is given that you have a block of mass m which is kept in on a rough horizontal turntable. So suppose this is a turntable and this is rotating about this axis and the block is placed here, and this turntable is rotating with a uniform angular acceleration alpha. The friction coefficient between the block and the turntable is mu. Then the first part of the question is find the time after which slipping starts between the block and the turntable. Now because the turntable is accelerating, so in this case this block will have both the tangential acceleration and the centripetal acceleration. Both the tangential and the centripetal acceleration are provided by friction. So the centripetal force will be equal to m omega square r. It is given that the block is at a distance r from the axis. Now similarly the tangential force will be equal to m at and that will be equal to m r alpha. Okay, this tangential force is also provided by the friction. So the net friction force on this block is equal to under root fc square plus ft square, and that will be equal to under root m omega square r whole square plus m r alpha whole square. Okay, now this is the net friction, but you know that friction has a limit. The maximum value of friction can be equal to mu mg. Now the required friction is this, the maximum value can be this, and if net requirement becomes more than this block will start to slip. So if just you want to stop slipping, you will make the limiting friction equal to the net friction required. So in that case you will get the maximum value of omega. So what you will say, from this you will get mu square m square g square is equal to m square omega power 4 r square plus m square r square alpha square. From this m square will get cancelled out and from this you will get the value of omega. So you will get omega power 4 is equal to mu g by r whole square minus alpha square. So from this you will get omega is equal to mu g by r whole square minus alpha square whole power 1 by 4. Now in the first part what they are asking you, in the first part they are asking the time taken when slipping starts between the block and the turntable. You know that this is the maximum omega. So when will this omega be reached? You know that omega final is equal to omega initial plus alpha t. Now the turntable started from rest, so the initial angular velocity is 0. This is the final angular velocity. Alpha is given to you. From this you will get the value of time. The second part of the question is find the angle made by the friction force with the velocity at the point of slipping. So suppose this is the point of slipping and it has reached an angular velocity omega final or omega. You know that this is the centripetal force and this is the tangential force and the resultant friction is in this direction. So this is the resultant friction and the velocity is obviously along the tangential force because the velocity is along the tangent. So this is the direction of velocity. So the resultant friction makes an angle theta with the velocity. So you will say tan theta is equal to fc by ft. And what is fc? Fc is omega square r and ft is r alpha. R getting cancelled. So you will get tan theta is equal to omega square by r, and put the value of omega from here, you will get the value of theta. Now in the next question, this question is from IE Rudolph 1.138. In this question, it is given that there is a horizontal plane which supports a vertical cylinder. So this is a vertical cylinder and it is fixed and it has a radius r. It is connected to a small disc by a thread of length L0. Okay, and an initial velocity is imparted at the point A to this disc, and this thread is wrapping around this cylinder. So it is asked how long will it move along the plane until it strikes against the cylinder. That means this point strikes the cylinder. That means it has wrapped completely. The friction is assumed to be absent. So we will solve this problem using three methods. So let us first discuss what is method 1. So suppose at any instant this thread has rotated by an angle theta. So this thread has rotated by an angle theta. Okay, so if the thread is rotated by an angle theta, so the length of this arc covered is r theta. Now when the disc rotates, the center of circular motion of this disc keeps on changing. Why? Because when it rotates, suppose it has reached this point, then the center of rotation becomes this. When it has reached this point, then the center of rotation becomes this. When it has reached this point, the center of rotation becomes this. That means the radius of circular motion of this disk keeps on changing. Okay, so at a particular instant, this is the diagram shown. So it has rotated by an angle theta. That means this thread has wrapped around the cylinder by an angle theta. So the length of the arc that it has covered is r theta. So what is the remaining length of the thread? So because the total length of the thread is L0 and it has wrapped around this cylinder by the length of r theta, so the remaining length is L0 minus r theta. So the radius of the circular motion of this disc at this particular instant is L0 minus r theta. Now suppose from this point it has rotated further by an angle d theta. Okay, now because this d theta angle is so small, you can assume that the center of the circular motion has not changed. So you will say that this is the radius of the circle and this is the arc length that is covered at this small interval of time. So ds can be written as the length of the arc is r theta, that is L0 minus r theta multiplied by d theta. Right? So ds is equal to L0 minus r theta multiplied by d theta. So from this, if you integrate both sides, you will get at theta equal to 0. The initial instant theta was 0 and the final instant when it has wrapped completely, you will say that when it has wrapped completely, so the L0 length of the thread has wrapped completely. So the L0 length of the thread has become L0 length of the arc. And you know that L0 length of the arc is equal to r theta. So the theta final when it has wrapped completely will become L0 by r. And ds represents what? Ds represents the distance, the elemental distance traveled in a very small interval of time by this disk. So the integration of ds will give you the total distance that is covered by this disk before it has completely wrapped around this cylinder. So you will say integration ds is the total distance that is traveled by the disk by the time it has completely wrapped in this cylinder. So you will get s is equal to L0 theta minus r theta square by 2, integrate it from 0 to L0 by r. So from this you will get s is equal to L0 square by r minus, if you put theta is equal to L0 by r, you will get L0 square by 2r. So from this you will get L0 square by 2r. So once you have got the value of s, they have asked you the value of time. Now because the speed of this disk is constant, so you will say that because the speed of this disk is constant, so you will say that the distance traveled by this is equal to speed into time. So the time will be equal to s by v naught and that will be equal to L naught square by 2r multiplied by v naught. So L naught square by 2r v naught is the value of s. Okay, so is the value of time. So this, by this you have got the value of time when this completely wraps, this thread completely wraps around the cylinder. In this question, angular momentum is not conserved. Why the angular momentum is not conserved? Because in this case, the center of the circle made by this disk keeps on changing. So if the center of the circle keeps on changing, you will say that the angular momentum of this disk is not conserved. One more reason is that this cylinder is fixed. If this cylinder was free, then the angular momentum would have been conserved. But then the cylinder is also rolling in the left direction, but that is not the case. In this question, the cylinder is fixed. So the angular momentum is not conserved. Now let us look at method 2. In this method, we will see the distance between the center and the disk. So let at any instant, the distance between the center and the disk is x, and the speed v0 is not changing. So this v0 is perpendicular to the thread at any instant. Now let us resolve this velocity into two components. One we will call v perpendicular. This v perpendicular is the component of velocity which is perpendicular to the line joining the center of the cylinder and the disk. And v parallel is the component of velocity which is towards the center of the cylinder, or it is along the line joining the center of the cylinder and the center of the disk. Okay, now you can write v parallel is equal to minus dx by dt. Why I have written a minus here? Because the x is decreasing with time. So v parallel will be equal to minus dx by dt. That is the rate at which this x is changing. Okay, and you can also write v parallel is equal to, because this v0 is constant, this angle is beta, so you will say this angle is 90 minus beta. So you will say v parallel is equal to v0 sine beta. Now in this triangle you will say that sine beta is equal to r by x. Now you will put the value of sine beta here. You will get dx by dt is equal to minus v0 r by x. So from this you will get x dx is equal to minus v0 r dt. At t equal to 0, now let us see what was the distance between the center of the cylinder and the disk at t equal to 0. So at t equal to 0, the disk is at this position, the center of the cylinder is fixed. So this is the distance. So this is r, this is L0. So at t equal to 0, the distance between the center of the cylinder and the disk is under root r square plus L0 square. So this is under root r square plus L0 square. Now at t equal to time t, what will happen? The thread will completely get wrapped around the cylinder. When the thread gets completely wrapped around the cylinder, finally the distance between the disk and the center of the cylinder will become r. So if you integrate this, you will get x square by 2 is equal to minus v0 r t. Integrate it from this to this. I am not writing it here. So from this you will get r square minus L0 square is equal to minus 2 v0 rt. From this you will get t is equal to L0 square upon 2 v0 r. This is the same answer that we got using method 1. Now let us solve this problem using one more method, that is method 3. We will use the concept of angular velocity. Now again the same thing. The thread has rotated an angle theta, suppose at any instant, and so the length of the string wrapped in this cylinder becomes r theta. Now if the length of the cylinder wrapped in the string is r theta, then the remaining length of the string, that is the radius of the circular motion of this disk at that particular instant, becomes L0 minus r theta. So you will say at this instant omega is equal to v0 by radius, that is L0 minus r theta. Now you also know that this omega is the rate at which angle is changing, and this will be equal to d theta by dt. So from this you will get v0 dt is equal to L0 minus r theta d theta. Again you will integrate it. So at t equal to 0, you can see that at t equal to 0, the disk was at this position and the angle theta was 0. Okay, and at t equal to final time t, when the complete length of the thread has wrapped around the cylinder, so the length of the arc becomes L0, and you know that L0 is equal to, the length of the arc is equal to r theta, so the final theta will be L0 by r. When complete length of the thread has wrapped around the cylinder. So again you will get v0 t is equal to L0 theta minus r theta square by 2. Integrate it from 0 to L0 by r, and you will get T is equal to L naught square upon 2R V naught. The same answer that we have got in the first two methods.
If you like my video, do hit the like button and share my work with your friends, your juniors, your seniors, and any other student who is preparing for JEE, NEET, and any other competitive exam. Also, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so that you get notified whenever I upload my next video.